Are you listening? Damn.
Whoa, what is that cap number for Matt Ryan? Okay. That's really his cap hit?
Yes,
that's legitimately.
That's legitimately his cap
welcome
hit.
to the AFC North. This is a conversation that was going to it was happening in the backstage. You're talking about Matt Ryan as a possible Steeler or Brown, and I told the guys like his cap hit is 48.
There's gotta be some
40 mil
NFL
cap
magic
hit.
voodoo stuff that you can do to change that, right? Like,
Well, no, because 40 of it.
or is that the result? Is this?
Yeah, that's because of the
He may be cuttable before a roster bonus or something, but like, yeah, his number is absurd next year.
Yeah, it's up there. Those quarterback prices are kind of
I
crazy.
guess post June will be 2020, but you don't want to have 20 mil the following one,
Wow.
right? Anyway, guys.
Well, anyway.
Welcome to the AFC North Talk. We here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We have an announcement later. We gonna get this thing rolling. We're gonna get this thing started. First game, two really good games. One AFC North showdown, and the other one a great game between the top two quarterback picks last year. So let's get this thing rolling. Ace, what do you think of this Chargers-Bengals game?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. Like, just looking at the overall aspect of it, if you look at the overall ELO score, you got Cincinnati ranked 11th. The Chargers are ranked 21st. On offense, you got the Bengals rated better, which that was kind of confusing to me. They're 8th. Los Angeles Chargers are 15th. On defense, they actually have the Bengals ranked 26th, and they have the Chargers ranked 17th, which kind of makes sense because even though the Chargers have a horrible run defense, they're literally the worst in the league. Their passing defense is actually very good. It's a top 10 passing defense. When you look at it from an overall standpoint on offense, the Bengals rank 7th, Chargers rank 15th. Bengals passing offense is 14th, Chargers is 6th. When you talk about the running, you've got the Bengals still at 19th, even though they had two big games from Joe Mixon. You've got the Chargers at 22nd. Scoring offense is what really separates these teams. And honestly, I had to look at these numbers twice because it was crazy what their rankings are right now. As far as scoring offense, the Bengals are 6th. The Chargers are 29th. I'm not sure how that is even possible. And then when you look at the defensive scoring aspect, it's the same numbers. It's literally the Bengals are 6th and the Chargers are 29th. So it's a very interesting matchup. I think it starts with the quarterbacks, right? When you talk about going against a Justin Herbert, this is a team that passes the ball. They're a passing team, right? The Bengals are more of a balanced team from a play calling standpoint. They can pass and run, but the Chargers are really going to pass on you, right? And they're going to attack you with Keenan Allen. They're going to attack you with Mike Williams. They're going to attack you with Austin Eckler out of the backfield. And that presents an issue, specifically Eckler, I think, for the Bengals defense. We've had some issues in the past against running backs. They were able to catch out of the backfield. They didn't have that issue last week, but we've seen it at times this season where that can essentially surprise them. And then the other thing is, I just talked about the passing defense is ranked in the upper 20s. That's not good against a team that does that majority of the time. So this is definitely a matchup there where this defense is going to get tested. Yes, the defense is doing great in the scoring realm, but they have given up some passes through the air. They are facing Justin Herbert. And I think the key to this game is that you have to focus on Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think that those are your guys that you have to stop with them having these explosive plays. Obviously, Keenan Allen plays for the most part over the middle, but Mike Williams is just having a crazy season on the deep passes. He has really demolished a lot of teams. So those are the guys I feel like you have to keep in check offensively for us, even though you might be tempted to make this a shootout because it is Herbert versus Burrow. You have to run the ball. Like this team is ranked 32nd in the league. Like, as much as you probably want Joe to let it fly, this is not the game for that. Especially that plays right into their hands, right? That's what they do as far as their defensive philosophy. They let you run and they really lock in against the pass. You don't want to play into their hands. So for me, I think that you have to give Joe Mixon another healthy dose of carries. Maybe this is 20 to 25 carries for Joe, but you still can get some of those guys involved like you did last week with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. You pick your poison this week, whichever one has the better matchup. I think that that's what you do. And looking at the trends, this one is another tough one because a lot of these teams, or both of these teams, they kind of don't have clear trends. LA as a away team, they're 3-2. The Bengals at home are 3-2. So it's really hard to say. And then if you talk about after a win, LA, who actually are the Bengals are 3-3. LA after a loss, I mean, there's not really anything there outside of the 3-1. So maybe there's a 3-1 trend from the Chargers that makes this dangerous. But I think in order to win this game, you run it. You have to limit that offense. You have to get turnovers. You have to convert your third downs against this team because I don't care what people say. I'm not looking at the record as far as the Chargers. We know that this is a good team. You got Derwin James. You got all of that talent over there. So I think that the Bengals can pull this one off if they end up utilizing that run game and going through Joe Mixon. I think that that's how they do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers do pull an upset here at home. But I'm sticking with the Bengals. I think that they're going to stick to that strategy of taking advantage of teams' weaknesses and just making that a part of the game plan.
Okay, Tony. Oh wait, before let me get some super chats. My bad.
Yeah, go for it.
Colton Carson here says, by the way, I was trolling last week as a Bengals fan.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
figured it out.
Next time you should change also your picture because the trolling didn't make sense for us because of the picture.
Well, it makes more sense now that we know it's
I mean, if you just gotta also, be better at it.
Ira here says Bengals rolling, but remaining schedule is tough.
That is tough.
And then Brent wants to hit Q. Are you in a school after last show? Yeah, guys, we don't take anything personal here. We move on. If not, we cannot do this show. That's the simple as that.
Facts.
Okay. Now, Tony.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
I know what you guys want to hear. You guys want to know what the line on this game is and what the over-under is. So let me give it to you here. Bengals are the home team, and they are favored by 3 points. So Vegas pretty much is giving them the home team edge in this one. Over-under in this game set at 50.5, which I know seems a little tempting. This feels like, could this two offenses that can be explosive at times? Anytime you see a matchup like this, where you're like, oh, two quarterbacks who can throw, deep passing into Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, you're tempted to go over there. Here's the thing, and Ace touched on this. It really has been kind of a roller coaster season for both teams. The Chargers have alternated wins. I mean, it's win-loss since their bye week, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then the Bengals, before their bye, their kind of season is not kind of split in two now. They have that bye week. The 2 games before their bye week are like their 2 worst losses of the year, right? Losing to the Jets, losing badly to the Cleveland Browns. But then they come out of that bye week and they look as good as they have all year with big wins over the Raiders and obviously what happened last Sunday against my Steelers. So it is interesting kind of the roller coaster that both these teams are on. And I do think that there are interesting matchups on both sides of the ball. Ace touched on the first one here. We got to touch on Austin Eckler. The Bengals had struggled, especially in that game against the Jets with running backs out of the backfield. Now they've cleaned that up in the last couple weeks. Najee Harris is someone who the Steelers like to use out of the backfield. And nothing got going for the Steelers offensively, especially Najee Harris out of the backfield. But even like the Raiders tried to get Josh Jacobs going a little bit out of the backfield. And that, again, was not a big success. But, you can make a strong argument here that Austin Eckler is the best running back out of the backfield in the NFL right now. I mean, certainly when it comes to targets, when it comes to usage, when it comes to efficiency, he's up there. He leads in a lot of those categories. And so I think that right there is going to be a big part of this game is not just their ability to slow down Austin Eckler and the running game that he is, because he's an underrated runner, but his efficiency out of the backfield is something to watch for in this game as well. And then when you think about Justin Herbert, of course, the big arm, and as I talked about, right, this is an offense capable of big plays. You go back to that Cleveland game, and how many times did they beat Cleveland deep in that game with guys lost down the field? But really, if you look at it on a play-by-play basis, one thing that's interesting to me is I look through the numbers in this game. Yes, Herbert has a big arm, but it's not like this is a deep passing attack. His intended air yards, right, is just above Ben Roethlisberger at
They don't
7.
have a speedy receiver either. Like
They don't. No, they don't have like
Mike.
a.
I like Mike. I like Allen, but neither of them are speedy guys.
Yeah. So, we talk about Jesse Bates and being able to keep a lid on this thing. But, I think what this is going to do is, when you talk about an offense like this that's going to throw short a little bit, you're going to allow this Bengals defense to kind of play downhill at you. And I think that's where this Bengals team can be very, very good. So, interesting to watch there. And then on the other side of the ball, as H touched on here, that it's the same old story with the Chargers. We do this every time we preview a Chargers game, especially with AFC North football, which is we talk about the Brandon Staley too high defense and say, look, in this division right now, with every team desiring to run the football, it's just not going to be a great matchup. So when you talk about the Chargers, they have the worst run defense in the National Football League, bar none. So, and as we found out over the last 2 weeks, getting Joe Mixon involved, getting this running game going has really been the catalyst for why this Bengals offense and really why this Bengals team as a whole has been playing so well. And so I think for me, like the analysis ends there. Right. As long as the Bengals come out and do what they've been doing for the last couple of weeks, which is desire to run the football and stay true to that, they will likely get that going in this game. And that'll likely be all she wrote. So I will definitely take the Bengals here. I think 3 points is probably too small for this matchup. The one reason why you might say, well, 3 points maybe is because, this game could get shortened a little bit by the running game and keep it artificially close. But I'm pretty comfortable with the 3. And also, I might like the under here as well. Again, games where you run the football, keep that score artificially low. I'm more confident in the Bengals and the 3 points than I am in the under. But I would definitely stay away from the over, even though this is two offenses certainly capable of throwing 30 on there. I think this game is much more likely played in the 20s.
Remember, guys, spam will be lit to a timeout. Q, you have a question here, and after that, you can go ahead and take. I'll let you read it, and then
Oh, goodness, quoting. Okay, so you missed my point. But, OQ, you want to talk about getting better. LOL, imagining having a Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and finishing a game with 40 yards on the Ravens without CC? Calais Campbell is who he's referring to. Now, I was referring to your trolling game, and you kind of answered all the questions that I had about your trolling game being bad by bringing it up about the Browns offense that I spend hours on this show talking shit about. So, but there it is.
Okay, and then there's another super chat. I guess this is a Patriots fan. Tony, can you read it, Tony?
Sure, absolutely. Predator Magnus here with a $5 super chat says, you guys forget the true kings of the AFC North, the New England Patriots. 1 season off and back at it again. Sorry, Pittsburgh. Okay.
Is he a Patriots fan?
I guess we have a random Patriots fan in chat.
I was saying the Browns only team that played the Patriots this year, right?
Yeah.
Why they here?
Anyway, by week Q, what do you think about this game between the Bengals and the Chargers?
This is a hard one because, like, if you could trust the Chargers to come out on a given week and play like you would expect them to, you might feel comfortable taking them here, but you just don't. And also another factor in this is, what happened with the Bengals those 2 weeks, right, where they had those 2 bad performances. One was Mike White just having the game of his life, which the Bengals defense allowed to happen. And then another one was, Baker didn't really play the best game. He had a good game. He made the plays that he needed to, but also the run game got off there. Those are all problems that they present or the Chargers present at a high level, and certainly at a higher level at their peak than like the Steelers or the Raiders are going to be presenting to the Bengals the last 2 weeks, where we felt better about that defense. So I guess this is a test of how that how that defense is performing. Is it better, or is it a little bit of us just seeing them against teams that they're more equipped to go against, and the issues that they had prior to that are still there or exploitable at some level? We'll see. But again, the Chargers have a very inconsistent track record here, right? Like, even if you just look in the division, right, they go out and they put up 40 points with the Browns. The next week they put up like 10 against the Ravens. I think, did they even put up any points in that game? offensively. I know it was a very low
against the Chargers.
against the Ravens. Yeah,
Yeah, I think maybe
3. I think it was 3,
maybe
right?
3 or 6.
yeah. I don't think they scored a touchdown in
Nah,
that
it
game,
wasn't.
right?
It was,
No.
So
Unless
they
it's
have
defense.
performances like that, and then even the Pittsburgh game where defenses goes away. They're a very inconsistent team with Cincinnati playing at home here and being pretty much on equal footing with them. As far as how they're playing, yeah, I think Cincinnati should win this one.
Here's one for Tony from Mr. Whispers. Go ahead, Tony. This is for you.
So it's been that kind of year. Mr. Whisper with a $5 super chat says, Tony, please refrain from picking the Bengals. As we discovered last week, whoever you choose will lose in historically embarrassing fashion. And if that is the case, big Bengals and Ravens guy this week. Big Bengals and Ravens guy this week.
Okay, let me say something about this game. I agree with a lot of what Q says, also what the other Ace and Tony said. This should be offensively a game plan similar to the Steelers game. You impose your run, They're not going to get out of the cover 2 because they're afraid that the Bengals can hit them over the top, right? So they're probably going to be afraid for the explosive plays, and they're going to be like, nah, we're going to watch the chase, we're going to watch Higgins, and we're just going to let everything in front of us. And if the Bengals impose the running game, it's over. I don't think. Look, the Chargers, when they come East Coast historically, and they haven't been different under this last regime, they haven't been good. I haven't remember the last time that they went from East, and this is hard for any team from East to West, West to East, right? So if this game was at LA, I think the game would have been close. I still might edge the Bengals, but I think this game is not gonna be as close as people think. I think the Bengals have it, and look, the other thing is Chargers haven't been playing good lately either, right? The Chargers started hot. They started 4-1 or something like that, and after that they haven't been playing particularly hot. Again, when they came to the Baltimore Ravens, I knew that game was favoring the Ravens because, and that's when they were hot. West Coast coming east, but after that they haven't been playing their best game. I think Herbert is a good quarterback. He also leads a lot of points. And I think Ravens fans, we always have been talking about receivers, and the Chargers have good receivers. I do like both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but they're missing that speedster, right? If you have a big arm guy, you want to put somebody with speed, and then that will elevate the other two. So the O-line has been playing better, but I think the D-line for the Bengals is better than what that O-line presents. I think they can force pressure on Herbert. Look, I think this is a game, again, that I think the Bengals have the better team. They have home field against the West Coast. I think the Bengals win, and I'm going. What was the over-under, Tony?
It was, what was it, 50 and a half?
50 and a half. Well, I think this game is probably going to be like 28, like 17 or something like that. I think it's going to be more than 2-score game. I think they impose the run. If for the other way, if on the other hand, if the Bengals cannot impose the run, that's when the game gets close. If for some reason the Bengals cannot establish the run, if the Chargers somehow can slow down Mixon, can slow down the run, can make the team one-dimensional, that's when that game can be close. I'm not saying they will lose, but that's when that game gets close. If the Bengals impose the run, I don't see it to be close because the Chargers can run the ball. They can throw it to Eckler. Usually don't have that much success running with Eckler.
One thing I want to say real quick, Sonny, is if you guys are betting on this game, meteorologists are wrong a lot of the times, right? But right now, the claim is that it is supposed to possibly rain during the game. So when you think about that, definitely consider that when you place your over-under. I'm not saying that it will rain, but that's what it's predicted to be by the meteorologists. So take that with a grain of salt.
And it's that time of year where it doesn't just rain. You get a little rain and snow action, cold rain. Lock me in on the under on this one. Lock me in under 50 and a half. That is my lock.
Well, if it rains,
I have been burned by that in the past, though. I was like, "Oh, it's gonna rain. They're not gonna score," and then
you
rain ends, and then
wait till game day to lock it in. But if it rains, this is a no doubter.
No doubter. Okay, we have 2 super chats here from P Dubs. Says Browns are like pet Okay.
Cemetery, trying to revive our dead BFF. When it happened, we thought it would be like before, but now, ever since they are back from the dead, they are a monster foaming at the mouth to tear our heart out. Or tear out our heart. I've never watched Pet Cemetery.
Neither have I.
Don't get that reference.
Okay, P Dubs. I'm just gonna come out here because I assume you're a Browns fan from what I can gather from that quote here.
I think so.
My man, you know, I don't know what your financial situation is looking like, but this is not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored. Better help, man. You know, it can help you out if the season is really giving you that rough of a time, because it seems like the Browns are bringing out something deep inside your soul that you worked out with a professional.
Tony, go ahead and read this one, man.
I read this one when it came in, and I still don't understand it. Thanks for everyone. This is for everyone but Q. What is your best or stupidest, Tony? The Browns will lose to bye week. I don't.
Maybe take.
You muted, Q.
He put it in twice as that. So
I don't get this one.
He meant to put it in like that.
This is for everyone but Q. What is your best or stupidest? I guess he's saying that you're not.
What? Clarify it in the chat, Rax.
Yeah. Clarify it. Because I
should I be insulted by that one? I guess maybe, but I can't understand it. So.
And Diddy here says salute to Ace, Q, Tony, and Sunny.
Whole lot of orange is what that's supposed to be.
Thank you. I was like, what is this?
That's Zim's apparel and his brand.
Gotcha. Shout out to Diddy. Okay, guys, one of the news that we wanted to bring up before we go to the AFC North Showdown is we're opening a Patreon. We're opening a Patreon where we're going to put extra content. The content of this channel will not change. We're still going to do the twice a week. We're still going to do pre-games. We're still going to do the review games. None of that will change. That is exactly the same. We didn't want to put anything that we do here behind a paywall. This is if you want more content from us, go back behind, go to the Patreon. Also, we're going to have another one for shout-outs. If you want shout-outs, go over there. AFC North Talk. It's like, you know how to find us. AFC North Talk. We'll put a link later. Also on Twitter, we'll make sure we'll put it on Twitter. Again, if you want to support us on Thursdays, basically it will be supported by the Patreon backers. We're going to have extra content and some shout out if you want to go that route. So thank you, everybody. Hey, by the way, just make sure also if you just want to support us, like, comment, share our content. That is the easiest and best way. If you want to support us a little bit more, go check out the Patreon.
Yeah, I just want to say, like Sonny said, nothing is changing here on the channel. I mean, again, this is not a way for us to like move some of this content behind a paywall or anything like that. It's absolutely not what we're doing. We want to provide more content for you guys, and so we're going to do that within a Patreon. We'll still do 2 shows a week during the regular season and a show a week. We may take some breaks during the offseason, obviously during the downtimes, but you'll still get a show a week from us pretty regularly throughout the offseason as well. And this content that we're going to be putting behind the paywall won't just be about the AFC North. I mean, you know, again, this kind of opens us up to some more fun stuff behind there as well. So appreciate all the support. And if you guys want to join the Patreon, that'll be awesome as well. Also, Rex Fortune wrote in and said, he said he was basically setting us up to roast the Browns, saying that how are the Browns going to possibly lose the bye week?
But
I'll say this, the last time this happened, the Bengals had their bye week and the rest of the division absolutely boom roasted itself.
Well, that happened with the Steelers too, right? When the Steelers had the bye week, everybody lost.
Yeah, exactly.
They went from 4th to 2nd or 1st.
Right. So things may now, you know, again, the Browns are in a position right now where I guess the best thing that could happen for them would be that the Steelers win and the Bengals lose. Or, I mean, I guess if they're fighting for a wild card, then maybe it's more advantageous that the Steelers lose just to keep them out of that. Although the tiebreaker stuff,
the Browns are in such a cluster mess that like it does not matter what happens this weekend.
And that's the biggest roast right there.
If the Bengals beat the Chargers, then the Chargers, you know, they go down. But then the Browns are lost to the Chargers. If the Bengals win, then the Browns have to deal with it does not matter. The Browns have dug themselves into a hole at this.
Yeah, a lot of AFC losses. I think the best path.
There's no outcome of that Steelers-Ravens game that helps us. So
The best path is for them to win the division, literally, because I think they have too many AFC losses. So for tiebreaker purposes in the wild card, that's not good.
Well, they have what, 6 losses or 5 now?
Six. They're 6 and
6 losses. Okay, so yeah, so they're getting up there to where it's like, oh, you're just gonna have too many L's.
Yeah, we're just waiting to be mathematically eliminated.
Yeah.
P-Loves here says, haven't seen Pet Cemetery or Stephen King. Come on, man. I haven't.
When did that come out?
Listen, my movie list of shame is long. I never seen Shawshank Redemption, which is
You've never seen Shawshank Redemption?
I've never seen
it on TNT like 24/7.
I almost have to actively avoid it at this point for conversations like this, where it's like, what movie I
saw a movie from 1989. The movie came out in 1989.
There's a new one. I think there's a new version where they redid it. They did like an updated version of it.
It's the only one that popped up on Google. Oh, 2019. It wasn't good. Nobody liked it though. It's got like 3 stars on IMDb.
All right.
I never heard of it. It came out last year. No, this is a German movie. This is not like this is a German movie. Yeah,
no, well, it's based on a Stephen King book, though, I guess.
Yeah, well, I know the one he's talking about that hit mainstream America is the one from 1989. I was -6.
Okay, now let's talk about the AFC North showdown here between Steelers and Ravens. Okay, I'll let Tony. Because I know you guys been dealing with some of the vid over there, right?
What's that?
You've been dealing with some of the vid, the Roni.
Oh yeah, well it's kind of cycling through. It's nice. I know that. Well, I'm not gonna make COVID jokes actually. Yeah, Robert Spillane was just and that was executive decision here. We're not making COVID jokes. Yeah, Robert Spillane was added to the COVID list this week, but he was already going to be out with a knee injury. So
it's Spillane and Bush? No.
No. Bush doesn't have.
There was another. TJ
Watt. Well, yeah, TJ has it. Yeah. I think we talked about that on Tuesday show. I hope. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, he's probably going to miss this game. There's an outside chance, of course, as they always say with these guys who test early in the week. Like, hey, it's possible. Ben played after what was it, like 8 days. This would be like a miraculous comeback. You have to imagine he's not going to be playing in this one. All right, let's start with the line here on the game. Line on the game. This is in Heinz Field, by the way. This one is a home game for Pittsburgh. So this is going to be Ravens by 4.5 is the line, and the over-under on this game is 44. So that's obviously anyone, if you're playing with offenses that are putting up about 10, 15 points a week at this point between the Ravens and Steelers, you're going to look at the under on that one and think, 44 looks a little high for my liking. But, look, when I think about this game, I honestly, for me, it's not about the wins and losses at this point. To me, it's about effort, right? I mean, after what we watched last Sunday, I'm not saying I'm giving up on the season right now. I'm saying I think the Steelers might have given up on the season right now. And that's kind of what I want to see on Sunday is like what's going to happen with this team. Is this team still capable of playing the style of football where these games were kind of grimy and the whole throw style points out the window, Tomlin style of football? It was said in a press conference this week, if you have to give guys a message at this point in the season, maybe it's time to get different guys. And I think that hits the nail right on the head. If this is week 13 AFC North football in December, and this team's got, and Mike Tomlin, by all reports, is fired up in meetings, and he's leading all the defensive meetings, and he's angry, and they put the pads on this week and all that, that's fine. And I'm happy that Mike Tomlin is doing that. I'm happy with that approach. But this is not a Mike Tomlin problem. This is not a talent problem. This is an effort problem in Pittsburgh, right? Do these guys still want to play football here in the month of December? Or are they ready to pack it in?
Tony, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In this same line, who are those guys that you think they're just packing it in? I know one that you just haven't been high this year on.
Who is not packing it in at this point, right? I mean, like even the guys last week, look, Minka had the terrible missed tackle against Burrow, which is not something that was like an effort thing on that part. He's a bad tackler, right? But even the problem with this team right now is that even their best players aren't even playing well, right? TJ Watt was absolutely, he was invisible last week. And Cam Hayward, who I get, they put him at nose tackle, so he was playing a little bit out of position, but once again, didn't make any difference there, putting him at nose. So, where is the effort coming from, period, would be the easier part. of that question. Yeah, and look, you guys I'm sure you guys are going to hit on all the X's and O's problems for the Steelers in this football game, and there are plenty, right? I mean, you start right here with defending the run, which has been a problem pretty much whoever the Steelers have faced, going all the way back to that game against Seattle. You had the embarrassing one against Detroit, where literally Detroit didn't even try to throw the football in that game and still managed a tie against this team. You got the Chargers game where the Steelers defensive front could not maintain containment on Herbert, and Herbert nearly ran for 100 yards in that one. Then, of course, last week what happened with Joe Mixon and that running game. And so while while Baltimore's not a great running team, it's just not a great matchup for the Steelers right now, because really what running game is a good matchup, and especially when you consider how disciplined you have to be, because how many ways the Ravens will attack you in that running game. Bad matchup for the Steelers. And then on the other side of the ball, the Ravens are a very good run defense, but they can be had in the secondary, except that Ben right now isn't exactly exposing bad secondaries at this point in his career. For me, it's more about Steeler football, right? It's more about, like, let's just get back to this being a dirty game. I mean, if this comes down to a Justin Tucker field goal at the end, no, I'm not going to be happy with that, but I'll at least, I would love to come out of this game looking back at that Bengals game and saying, okay, 1 game sample size, that was a weird one. They no-showed in that one, but there's no bigger narrative to be had about the roster right now, the youth on this talent, and who's showing up and who's not showing up. So for me, a win would be an icing on the cake. 6-5-1, that would be awesome. You kind of erase some of the wrongs of last week. You put yourself kind of back into it because the Ravens are back to 8-4 and you got them again. But again, for me, it's not about wins and losses. Get yourself right on the field from an effort perspective. If you no-show another game, this one at home in front of your home fans against a rival in Baltimore, then the problem for the Steelers this year is not going to be their record. It's going to be the future of this team and which players need to be here and which players do not.
Okay. Let me put, Ace, so I know you're in limited time, so can you give us your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, just looking at this game from a top level, you talk about the ELO rankings. They've got Baltimore 8, Pittsburgh 24th. It's weird, though, because Baltimore on offense, they're 20th and then 19th in the ELO rankings. And then you've got Pittsburgh at 31. You've got the defense at 21. The thing that sticks out to me, though, in this game is that what I would probably say is Pittsburgh's strength on offense and what they like to do seems to be what Baltimore's weakness on defense is, right? Because Pittsburgh, they like to pass the ball, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. They've got the weapons to do it. You talk about Deontay Johnson, who I talked about last week, is a very good player, right? He's gonna get his. You also have Chase Claypool. Pat Freiermuth hasn't really been as of late, after he had that game where it seemed like he was ascending and about to be a part of this offense. He's been kind of quiet lately. Those are things that I kind of look at. But when you look at Baltimore, their passing offense is also pretty good overall. It's 15th. The run offense is 5th. The run defense is 2nd, right? So we saw them shut down the Cleveland Browns last week. But honestly, that doesn't really, for Pittsburgh, that doesn't really matter because their running offense hasn't been good this season, right? Like, yeah, they have Najee Harris and all of this and that, but it just hasn't been good. I mean, honestly, I don't think that it's all even on Najee. I think the run blocking has not really given him any holes or anything like that. So what you have here, I think, is a recipe for these teams to actually make this an exciting game. Now, the issue with Pittsburgh is, and I've always talked about it, is even though they're pretty solid in some offensive areas, you talk about third down conversion, I've talked about that. They're really good at that. For some reason, when it comes to just scoring on offense, that's where they really kind of struggle. 23rd in the league. With the Ravens, they're 9th, right? So that's what the Steelers are going to have to ask themselves is, if they take advantage of this Ravens pass defense through the air, they have to score. Because if you don't, the Ravens are going to score. They might not, be as efficient as you guys are, but when it comes to efficient in scoring, they're going to be able to do that. And so that's what I'm looking at from I guess the top level of this game. You have to remember, though, that this is a rivalry between these two teams. And if they don't get up in Pittsburgh at home to play the Ravens, then you can pretty much cancel the rest of this season. If they are not going to come out and show that they want this one, I don't know what other game they actually really want. And so Ben, especially with them having an embarrassing loss from last week in the division, this is another division game that you got to win or the season's pretty much over. If they don't come to play in this one, I don't know when they're going to come to play. But I'm looking at some of the trends here. After a loss, this is the other thing. Pittsburgh is 1-3. After they have lost, they continue to somewhat spiral in some of those instances. When you look at Baltimore after a win, they're 5-2. When you look at them as an away team, though, they are 3-2. And when you look at Pittsburgh as a home team, they're 3-2-1. So maybe this is an opportunity where Pittsburgh, and I think that if this is the matchup that they have between the Ravens, I think this is the one that they have to win, and this is the one where they kind of get a little bit of an advantage here. So I'm going to say I think that this will be a very close game. I think Pittsburgh's going to steal one. And I'm not saying that because I want the Bengals to move up here. I just really honestly just looking at the numbers, passing is what Pittsburgh does. And I talked about it the last couple of weeks. I'm like, a lot of people in Pittsburgh were like, oh, we're going to establish the run. And I called them out on it because I'm like, I'm looking at the percentages. You're not running the ball. And I've talked about with Baltimore, every time you guys hear me talk about it, I bring up the passing defense. And they're still in the 30s. This was a team that allowed a team like the Chicago Bears to have some success there, who was one of those teams that weren't really good when it came to passing. Now, they did stop the Cleveland Browns in that aspect, right? But I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers really have an issue passing the ball. It's really the run. So I think that is what's going to give them the edge. The fact that they're playing at home, the fact that this is a rivalry, they just got blown out and embarrassed, and the fact that the Ravens haven't shown yet that they can stop the big play from happening. I have some concerns about how they're going to be able to stop Deontay Johnson and Claypool, right? Because their corner Marlon Humphrey, he can only guard one person. It's up to the rest of that supporting cast there with the safeties and the other corners to kind of stop some of these Pittsburgh weapons, because they have shown in the past that they can be a dynamic duo. So I think with all of that, I'm going to take Pittsburgh here in a close one. It's not going to be anything where they're going to blow out the Ravens. That's just not happening. Let's just be real on that aspect of it. But I do think that their passing offense does present a problem for Baltimore, and that will give them the slight edge in this one.
Okay, we have a couple of super chats before I read them. We had the poll. Y'all voted Bengals 65, but y'all said Bengals are going to win this week. And right now, the Steelers and Ravens poll is going on. Chase Brown says, Sonny. We need that shame. Representing.
By the way, Ace, I know you predicted, the Steelers maybe get the passing game going in this one. They win. Are we looking at a vintage? Can I get my one vintage Ben game this week? That's all I ask for.
It could be a vintage. It could be. I mean, I don't even think you need like a 400 passing yard game from Ben. But I think if he could get like 250 and 2 or 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, yeah, I think you can.
That is the recipe right now.
You know what's going to require, Tony, for the Steelers to win this game, right?
Blocked punt for a touchdown, which has been
you guys do have to get that, because
listen, you look at the biggest games this year. The Packers game, they stole it from us, but the other two, you got the Bills game at the beginning of the year, big win, and they nearly stole the Chargers game on a blocked punt.
Not that. It's going to require Chase Claypool.
Oh my God, we're not. Here we go. Bait again. Not taking it. You got an empty line there, Q.
Yes, that's your boy. Jay Winston here said Baltimore Pittsburgh won by the last team to intercept a pass.
Both these teams are bad at turnovers. That is first. Well, specifically interceptions. So maybe
the whole division bad at it right now.
Yeah, it's just not been a great turnover year.
Mr. Whispers here says it may not be Pet Cemetery or King related, but I think there is an argument to be made for the Steelers season to be compared to The Walking Dead.
Great point. The Walking Dead started out first 2 seasons pretty good. Then the rest of the show, I stopped watching. I wouldn't know. It got bad.
It's still going, ain't it?
I think it might still be going. They got like 9 spinoffs now.
That's going to be one of them shows. They're going to be like the final season of Walking Dead, and we're going to be like 55 years old. Like they've been doing this for 30. What?
I think Grey's Anatomy is still on, by the way. That's another one where my wife watches it, and I'm just like, wait, that show is still on?
I refuse.
I would say this: when I went to Portugal over the summer, and The Walking Dead posters are everywhere.
Really?
Season
Grey's Anatomy or
premiere,
Walking Dead?
Walking Dead, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, that thing's still a thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
It was like the thing in like 2007. I remember that was it like?
Yeah.
I
Pretty
remember
much.
it was real hot in high school. You know what I mean? But it's still going. I didn't know.
Game medicine here says Odafe Owe shoulder strain and Marlon Humphrey illness added to the injury list. Boyle, Ricard, Young, and Westry missed second straight practice.
But the Ravens are getting back Calais Campbell from what I read this week.
Yes,
Yeah.
it looks like he cleared today.
Yeah.
Adam McCom here. Shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Steelers blitzing may help them to win, as
They
Lamar
don't
hasn't
blitz
been
this year.
particularly
They don't
great
blitz.
against blitzes.
This is one of those like, yeah, you think the Steelers blitz because traditionally they have under Keith Butler, but this year
Pretty much
they have
5.
backed
Not
it off.
blitz. That'll be
23
interesting to see. Are they going to blitz? Are they going to try
Yeah.
to do the whole cover zero blitz thing? Because I think Cleveland tried
They
to do some of that last week a little bit. But
It would be
No, we
they
didn't
would
cover
come
zero.
way out of their
We didn't
shell if
zero
they did
I
that.
didn't do the blitz cover
No, we
zero.
didn't
with the
zero
blitz.
blitz him. No.
They
No.
blitz, but no 0.
Yeah,
You guys
okay.
blitz.
Yeah, the Steelers don't run 0. The Steelers
Yeah,
just don't
put
run 0.
JOK as a spy. But
Yeah.
the whole zero blitz thing on Lamar Jackson is somebody's going to talk themselves into doing something really dumb against
I
him.
mean, the touchdown pass was on a blitz, but it was a
Mhm.
zone blitz. It wasn't 0. It was a zone.
Because
blitz.
the
It was
meme,
just- okay.
the meme of Mark Andrews is there somewhere. Like, yeah, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, because the Steelers play exclusively man. I mean zone, right, Tony? It's like
Well, they run
Only
zone, but they
zone.
do a lot of man concepts within it. So it's but they what they have not done this year, again last year, them and the Ravens did this whole like 5-man pressure is the base for us. They don't do that. I mean, they just don't do that this year at all. So I'd be shocked in this game if you saw a real blitz heavy scheme. Even though without
Yeah.
TJ Watt, they're going to want to get some pressure. But they had a hard enough time. You remember the last time these two teams played, and Lamar played, I believe that the Ravens ran for 250 in that game, maybe even closer to 300.
We
And that
don't
game
have
was
to run
decided
that.
because Lamar Jackson, did one of his famous. He tried. It was a tryout for what they're doing this year, which is like how bad can I play and still win? He threw 4 interceptions in that game last year, or 4 turnovers, I should say.
Yeah. King Apu, Tony, I think you should read this one.
Well, first of all, it's 6 pits. He put a 5 in here, but he means 6. 6 Lombardis for my Steelers. Squealer's taking
Put
that
it in there. Okay.
fat L. 6. He it was a misprint. He meant 6. Wouldn't expect. I think he's a Ravens fan. Wouldn't expect a Ravens fan to remember how many Steelers have. It's 6.
Baker's definitely got to go to Pittsburgh if it doesn't work out in Cleveland. He wears 6. I mean, like,
No. Their 6 was Duck's number. They're Duck's at the game this weekend. I think they may retire. The number.
they're inducting him into the Ring of Fame.
He's in the.
Ring of
Duck's
Honor.
gonna be in attendance for this one, so they may be retiring his number.
The Latrobe
yeah,
Hall of Fame ceremony.
right.
Are they putting
That's right.
Ola
no, this one,
and Pierre James in there? Pierre Tommy,
James
whatever his
Pierre,
name is.
come on,
James Pierre.
Don't act like you don't know James Pierre, future Hall of Famer on the
He
Peyton
had
Manning.
such a bad
He's on the
game
Peyton,
last week. I have blanked any memory of James Pierre playing football.
Peyton Manning track.
It
Yeah.
was so bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Tony, can you read this other one?
Terrell Bond will get his first interception. I'm sorry.
Girl, fine.
Perry Digg with a $5 super chat says Brandon Stevens will get his first career interception this week. Let's go. Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Great job. Eclectic Tyrone with a $5 super chat says, would Quincy stop being a Browns fan if the Browns made Chase Claypool and Marquise Brown their main receivers? Add Allen Robinson in there for him, please. And Cliff Kingsbury as the
I've
coach.
never had a beef with Chase Claypool. I've always thought Chase Claypool was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very, very good.
Hey, look,
That's
you got
Tony
Chase
Hader.
Claypool in there. You could make Marquise the 2. I've always advocated that Marquise was a 2. And then Allen Robinson be the 3. I would actually be okay with that. My issue with these wide receivers aren't that they're good, it's that
Heineke
they're overhyped.
Heineke is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Now that would piss me
I need Heineke in Pittsburgh. Okay, listen, we can't have the haters. Okay, there are 2 legitimate fans of Heineke on this show. People forget that. All right, but Taylor Heineke has a legit fan club on this show.
Heineke Hive.
That's right,
Nah, I'm
the
with
Heineke
him.
Hive.
I'm with them. We're in the Heineke Hive together. We're in the
Me and Ace,
trenches.
yeah, we're all in on this one.
Okay.
We know good quarterback play when we see it.
Let me say something here. I think the Ravens should come and attack him again, similar to what the Steelers did or Bengals did with the Steelers. And I said this in last show. I said the Steelers. This is not this year. This since last year at least, maybe even before that, they have a problem when teams attacking on the running side through the B gap. Right? I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it because we talk about how the Steelers have a good D line, but in the middle between the tackles, you can run on them. Usually not on the outside, but in the middle. And this the Ravens, although they're having not a great running game right now, that's where they like to run. They like to run in between the tackles for the most part. A guy Freeman, which look, Freeman has had a decent year, way better than what I thought. I think Freeman's gonna have quietly a big game. I think he's gonna have 75 to 80 yards. And I think Latavius Murray will take like 50 more yards. I think this is a game that the Ravens should establish the run, and then should slow the game down. And almost like old school, like a year or two Ravens. So the game, you want Big Ben to have little opportunities because you know what that's the Big Ben. Big Ben then gets antsy. Like, oh my God, I'm not getting the ball much. Let me just chuck it up over there, right? And that's where Big Ben does the turnovers. That's when he holds the ball more. The Ravens pass rush has been better than years before. We'll see if Odafeo will place, but they definitely have been better than years before on blitzes and on not blitzes. And the D line is gonna probably, unless a last minute injury happens, it's gonna be as healthy as they have been since week, I don't know, like 5. So the D line also coming back fairly healthy for the most part. I think this game, the Ravens, you want to talk about you are a contender and all this. This is a game that you need to take. The Steelers are a team that it's not going to be easy because it's a rivalry. It's a game that is even 2 years when the Steelers won the division. No, 3 years ago. And when the Steelers won the division, right?
Last year.
No, but I'm thinking about the other. Was it last year when RG3 started against you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, in that game we should not won that game, but we won the game, right? I think RG3.
No. You guys won. RG3 was the year Duck was the Duck Mason year.
Nah, but RG3. I think RG3.
RG3 was the last game of
2019.
2019, yeah, it was the one where
it was the Duck game.
Starters. The
Steelers
Steelers made the playoffs if they won that
punt,
game. Yeah,
Duck had a sack fumble in the red zone. Yeah.
I
remember like it was yesterday. Great game.
Yeah,
loved every minute of it.
Anyway, even for example, a year like last year when Lamar had the vid, I think he missed one of the Steelers game, and that game was ugly. And the Ravens Steelers game, and they're usually not pretty, and doesn't matter who has a better record. Hence, the year that we went 5-11. 2 of those wins was against the Steelers. We swept the Steelers that year, right?
You know who the quarterback was in the second one?
Mallet.
Yeah, Ryan Mallett. Yeah, how about that?
But we swept the Steelers, and it's because usually these schemes don't matter who the player is, always coming to at last minute something, right? Interception, touchdown, right? It's been like this for a while. So I'm not expecting a blowout, although the Ravens have the better team, in my opinion. Definitely clicking more. Not that the Ravens are a well-oiled machine right now, but
it's a low bar to say the Ravens are playing better than the Steelers right now.
Yeah, but you know the MO. The Ravens would like to make this game interesting, so it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. It's gonna be a hard-fought game. It's gonna be last-minute something. I'm gonna go with Ravens by 4. 2016.
So you're taking the Steelers with the because it's 4.5 right now in Vegas. Sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't bet it.
Now, one thing you said there, which is, you talk about the run defense and the Steelers defensive line being so good. Look, it's important to remember here, right? I mean, the Steelers defensive line is very banged up. Tuitt has literally not played a single down this year. He will not play all year.
What I was gonna say.
Yeah, and then Alualu been down since week 2.
My point hasn't been like this year only. It's been for the past 2 years. The
second half of last year was very bad. Yeah.
It's to that middle, and linebackers have a lot to do with that, right? D-line and linebackers, they need to shore it up. And Bush, our guy Bush versus Patrick Queen, Tony's favorite meta linebacking matchup.
I'm looking forward to maybe Patrick Queen turning back into Patrick Queen this weekend.
No, with Najee Harris, he's gonna cover Najee Harris. He's gonna take him.
I love this super chat. How Mr. Whisper with the $2 super chat, Tony? How underappreciated? Yeah, very underrated, very, very underappreciated. Look, if you guys want to, if you guys would like a big-bodied, extremely fast wide receiver who brings down as fewer 50-50 balls than Deontay Johnson, okay, but also doesn't stay on his feet when he does have an opportunity in the deep ball, can't catch a slant over the middle on a big third down, okay, and then decides after they just got their ass kicked goes, I think the real issue here, everybody, what the real issue here, guys,
Music.
there's no music at
Music.
practice.
Just get
That's
some
the
music going.
I don't think we would have got our ass kicked by the Bengals if, like,
Why are you
we
so
get some
old school?
music
Let them
going.
play football with AirPods in. What's the issue?
Yeah.
Bring back that bankroll fresh.
What does he want to hear? I would be interested to know what
Mhm.
Chase Claypool with the Oxport would be like, because I
Right,
feel
the
like he
playlist.
has bad music taste. Like he'll be up there playing like weird stuff.
Q, what do you think about this game?
Oh,
man?
Ace, I think Ace has to run, by the way.
Yep.
Oh,
Take it
taking
easy, guys.
Yep.
See ya.
Yeah, Q, go ahead.
Yeah, so this week's interesting, right? When you talk about the Ravens, because I want to give the Ravens the benefit of the doubt because, like, I think they're the better team. But when you look at the Ravens, and especially when you look at how the Ravens have played since they blew out the Chargers, right? It's been pretty bad football. They got blown out by the Bengals. They barely squeak one out in overtime versus the Vikings team, who's not bad, but like it was a home game and they really should have took advantage of that one earlier. Lose to the Dolphins, squeaks one out against the Bears, and then they had that game where Lamar throws 4 interceptions versus the Browns. And look, they've been able to win some of those games, so they have a great record right now, and that's nothing to take away from. But I do want to point out that one thing I said at the beginning of the season is still holding true with Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team, which is this Ravens team plays as good as Lamar Jackson plays. And let's look at Lamar Jackson in his last 3 games, right? Minnesota, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Miami, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and then 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions in Cleveland. Now that Cleveland game is going to put him over the top. He's going to have 7 interceptions, 5 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. And that's really been the biggest problem for the Baltimore Ravens, is that Lamar is not playing at the level. And look, the bar for Lamar is higher than a lot of the quarterbacks, where the bar for him, the bare minimum level he needs to play at for this team to be successful, is at a level where he's carrying people. There are people in this division, I would say every other quarterback in this division is not asked to carry their team. Lamar, at bare minimum, is asked to carry his team, like absolutely 100%. And when you look at how he's been playing, he's been great in certain spots. He's been good enough to win in certain spots. He's made the plays that he has needed to win, but they've really been relying on other teams messing up more than they've been relying on them playing dominant football down the stretch, especially when you look at how they won the Bears game. And for goodness gracious, how the Cleveland Browns just refused to move the football on Sunday Night Football. So I think we can all agree, whether you're a Ravens fan or not, that this Ravens team has not been playing at a level or having convincing wins to where you're just like convinced that this team is better than, well, is living up to what their record is, just because they just haven't played good football. They've gotten fortunate in some areas, but that's just kind of how the Ravens play. So we just don't know how they're playing. And it's at the point to where you can't really put this game outside of the realm of possibility that they do lose it to Pittsburgh. But goodness gracious, everything I just said about the Ravens, you could say about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if all things are equal there, I'm just going to take the Ravens in that game. So I got the Ravens winning here. I don't know about how much. History would tell you you'd be silly to say this is going to be a blowout. I mean, this Ravens team scored exactly 16 points 2 weeks in a row, and the week before scored 10. So the offense is not clicking on any high cylinder. But again, Lamar can turn it on and get out of this funk similar to a Patrick Mahomes, and get this thing going just like that. So we'll see. But I think the Ravens are probably going to squeak this one out in the ugly football game.
I will say this: if the Steelers have a path to winning, it's from that front, getting to Lamar with a very weak O-line, especially in the edges, right? I know TJ Watt's not playing. Is Highsmith playing, Tony?
Yeah. Highsmith will be there. And what about you? What about Derek Suga? Huh? Yeah. Taco Charlton? Huh?
Taco. Okay.
Yeah. Taco's in there.
He's going to be charged up too after Ohio State finally lost to Michigan.
Michigan, the big blue, baby.
There you go.
By the way, would it not be the most Jim Harbaugh thing to do, is to make it all the way to the college football playoff?
Oh, I thought
we lose to Cincinnati.
I thought you were going to say
losing to Iowa.
No. They play Iowa this week. But I'm saying, like, if they beat, they play Wisconsin this week now, right?
No, they play Iowa.
Iowa blue.
No.
No, it's Iowa.
Oh, okay.
100% it's Iowa.
So whatever. Oh, I think one of the two. I don't know. You can.
Wisconsin blew it. They
It's
lost to
easy.
Minnesota.
It's when it comes to those Big Ten teams, they all kind of mush together anyway.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska. They're the same team. But yeah, it would be Jim Harbaugh to lose that game, but it would be even more Jim Harbaugh to get everybody's hopes up, right? Because right now, if you're a Michigan fan, you're like, we gotta get past this game before we can get excited. But you get to college football playoff, you're gonna feel like, oh, all those monkeys are off our back. We're ready to go. It's a new era for the Michigan Wolverines, and we playing the Cincinnati Bearcats. We gonna go to the championship game, and they lose and allow the Cincinnati Bearcats or like Oklahoma State to go to a national championship. Come on, that's peak Jim.
Can I look,
peak Jim Harbaugh.
I know we got a lot of Cincinnati people in chat, but I will still say, look, and I've maintained this all year. I'm still not convinced Cincinnati gets in. I'm really not convinced.
The thing that's going to get them in is they have to beat a ranked team this week to get in. Like that would be hard to judge if they were beating
this week.
They
like
play
Houston 20 right now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not a nothing win. And Notre Dame doesn't play anymore, right? They don't have anything to play right now.
Yeah, well,
so
coach,
so their season's over. They're locked in at 6. I'm just wondering, like, the only things that can happen to bust that. And welcome to college football talk. Is
hey, we're into the preview show. We've done our previews. Now we're into the Patreon content.
But the only thing that, because like people are arguing with me that they're not going to let a 2-loss Alabama in, but I would say a 2-loss Alabama to Georgia, like the committee going to cook that thing up.
If it goes to overtime, really close, you could argue.
Yeah, you can make that argument. Well, their only losses are against and they beat whoever in the SEC that they beat.
Ohio State still can get in, right?
Yeah, Ohio State's done.
Ohio State's
done,
dog. They can't get in.
They weren't good to begin with, and then they lost to Michigan.
The ways to keep Cincinnati out are obviously if Bama beats Georgia, then I think Cincinnati is Cincinnati
because Georgia's not going.
N-E.
Yeah, and Bama's staying,
I think,
and then Michigan, they're going to keep Michigan in.
And a close
and
game.
Boy, wouldn't that be the biggest controversy in the world?
Yeah. I also, Cincinnati has played some close games recently. I mean, I know they beat up on, I think it was SMU, but
they played like one close game in the last 5 weeks. Though they had that one. I don't get because I looked at their schedule. They haven't really played that many close games. They played one close game.
They had the ECU games when they absolutely destroyed, right? But then I remember I was at a.
How did we get into college?
Oh, we get into college
because man, we
all
early.
in. Anyway, all right. Moral of the story here: the ways to keep Cincinnati out are obviously if Bama wins. I mean, you got to pray to everyone that Oklahoma State loses to Baylor because otherwise they're keeping Cincinnati out. I mean, they're just incentivized.
They played a close game to Tulsa in November. November 6th, and then they blew out everybody ever since that. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't. Okay. Yeah. All right.
They had like in the span of 3 weeks, they played 2 close games, and then they that's it though. So it's like, and honestly, it's like you gonna punish them for close wins.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the Navy game was a long time ago. Okay. Anyway.
For Cincinnati should be in. Like I think we're all in agreement that Cincinnati should be in, but if the committee has a way to sneak in Alabama, they're gonna find a way to sneak in Alabama because again, this is not the NCAA championship. This is not an objective look at. This is pretty much a 4-team bowl game where they're just selecting the 4 teams they want to play in there. Some for football reasons, and a lot for revenue reasons, right? Because they got to sell commercials for these games. So that's what happens. It's not a real national championship game. It is a 4-team bowl game that is selected on by a specific committee that is literally there to stop things like Cincinnati making the playoff. So if they have any reason to do it, yeah, they're going to do it. But Cincinnati is I would say in this era of 14 playoff, because it looks like we're going to eventually be moving on from 14 playoff, is going to be the most inexcusable mission of all time that you could ever come up with. Like this is where people start flipping tables because we literally did everything you asked us to. We scheduled a good.
They won every game for 2 years in a row too.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's not like the AAC is a bad conference. It's without like Oklahoma, it's pretty much like similar footing to the Big 12. Like they're both conferences or the Pac-12. You know what I mean?
It's Pac-12 closer, but
yeah, it's not like the MAC. Like going undefeated in the MAC virtually means nothing because the MAC's not good.
The Mac gives us Tuesday Night Football, and that's we got to respect that. All right, we got to stop this college talk.
I'm not
we got to
respecting
save this.
Tuesday Night
Listen,
Football. I don't gamble, Tony.
well, listen, some of us do. Just a little preview there of our Patreon content to come.
Mr. Whisper here says, Q and Sunny, how underappreciated is Claypool? I will say this.
Went through this one.
I'll say this.
Now they're asking you guys in particular this time.
Yeah.
This is
Claypool
your
for
opportunity to
me-
troll.
Claypool, no. To be fair, Claypool for me is exactly the guy that I thought pre-draft right now. Like he had a spur last year, but this is what I saw pre-draft. A guy that is big. He definitely plays faster than what I saw on tape when he wants to play faster. But he's not aggressive enough with the ball.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. It's a criticism that I have for his teammate from Notre Dame, Boykins, that plays for the Ravens. Boykins is not part of the roster currently, or not part of the active rotation. But Boykins never has played with aggressiveness, and he's big body receiver, and he has speed when not in the football field. And he's in the football field. I think Claypool, if I can remember correctly, going back to my notes, Claypool was not the greatest route runner in college.
No, but he had a very limited route tree in college.
I know.
Yeah.
And this is where I got, because this is the thing with Boykins as well. And I think this limits them when they jump to the NFL, because with Boykins, essentially, you either have to go back to go routes or slants, because if not, then they play slow. And I think Claypool might have some of that too. When they don't go and do the very limited route tree, then they go back to playing slower. And so, I think that, this might be a Notre Dame receiver problem, but I think Claypool's a good receiver, but he's not Mapletron or whatever it is that people were calling him.
Yeah, Mapletron. Well, because they did this. NFL.com did the thing where they put his 40 time and his measurables up against Megatron, Calvin Johnson, and they were very, very similar, like eerily similar. And so everyone's like, oh my god, it's Calvin Johnson. It's like, well, when you turn on the tape, it's a little different. The funniest thing about it, Sonny, you go back, you remember people were talking about Claypool maybe being a tight end coming out. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Claypool's a tight end. Yeah, very physical. Yeah, you really want Claypool in those physical matchups. Absolutely, that's where he's going to dominate. Absolutely. Yeah.
He can block.
Sure.
Well, I mean, y'all were the ones calling him Mapletron. Y'all were the ones comparing him to Calvin.
It's one of those. You go back to the
2 weeks into his rookie year, crowning the man because he made a couple 50-50 ball catches, and now y'all got to live with it. That is y'all boy.
I will say, go back and watch it, because we did it here on AFC North Talk. Believe I gave that one like a B- C. The only reason I said I wouldn't give it lower is because trust the Steelers when it comes to receivers. But like Sonny, I also didn't love that pick back at the time.
Oh, yeah,
so
you did not like the pick.
Did not.
But
which worries me about Freiermuth now, right? Because it's like Freiermuth is having a very good
I love
start here. But I didn't love Freiermuth.
It will happen the second you concede that you were wrong is when you'll start to be right.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like that's how it happened with Claypool.
I conceded long ago that I was wrong on Freiermuth because the dude catches everything around him. But
I love him. I actually campaigned for the Ravens to draft him because I thought he was gonna be amazing, and then I got pissed when you guys drafted him. I said, hopefully he's trash now.
Not yet.
I think he's gonna be good. He's gonna.
He looks like he's got. I mean, even last week he had that great touchdown catch against Cincinnati. I mean, like the one. I know it was against backups or whatnot, but it was still a very good catch.
Do you see? He's physical. He doesn't. He goes and he seeks contact, and he definitely is that type of tight end that you want in the AFC North.
Yep.
Allstream here says Q. Well, he's trolling you, but there you go.
Is this trolling?
I don't know. He's just stating.
Or is this just quoting me?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. AGNM here says, what is going on with the Steelers this year? Bengals, Browns, and Ravens O-line is better than Pittsburgh, and Ravens O-line ain't good right now.
Steelers O-line is I think one thing that's happened over the past couple weeks that people don't talk enough about is Kevin Dotson, their left guard, went out, and he was like their best young player. Kendrick Green we talked about Kendrick Green, the strength issues that he has, and then Dan Moore.
He's like a rookie center.
Rookie center, rookie left tackle, yeah.
Yeah, them rookie centers, man, it's not an easy breaking in process because the Browns drafted Nick Harris, and every time he comes in there, he is barbecue chicken, too weak to get off the field.
Yeah, I will say this. The two centers that I wanted for the Ravens that I love, actually, it wasn't Cody Ford, the guy from Oklahoma. Humphrey.
Yeah, Creed Humphrey.
It looks amazing.
Very
and the
good.
other guy which I was concerned because of injuries. Landon
Dickerson.
from Bama.
Landon Dickerson. Yeah.
Dickerson. Dude looks amazing as well from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, but I'll say this: Bozeman has hold his own. Okay, another super chat, a big one here from Cortez Boyce says, "I think what Joe Burrow said was true. If we can win the division, we can win it all." I
mean, hey man,
I
put
think that
money
goes for
on it.
everyone in the division. Honestly, just a Bengals fan from Hagerstown, Maryland.
what
Yeah, take
Maryland?
the odds. 32. This is what 30 to 1 or 1 to 30. How do odds work? 30. It's good odds, man. Go take the odds.
I mean, I think one thing that's happened is you've had this kind of, smushing process, whatever you want to call it, like everyone
Parity.
meets in the middle in the AFC. Yeah, exactly. AFC is unbelievable parity this year. The NFC maybe has a worse lower end, but the AFC has like this very high. The AFC doesn't have that high. It's like everyone from 1 even through like 8 is all, you go, well, I mean, if they make a run, yeah, they could.
I will disagree something here with the AFC. I think people get too much credit to the AFC. The Cardinals are playing great, right? The Packers win, but they're winning almost like the Ravens, right? Like, are they super convincing, right? They don't do it by come behind, but do you feel like the Packers cannot lose? I feel like anybody can beat the Packers.
Well, obviously, when with what they did in the playoffs last year, you're not going to trust LaFleur, but
No, but
I think their
then
defense is much better than it's been in years past.
And does the Buccaneer really right now is a team that you're like, oh my god, right?
We gonna do this?
We are gonna do this.
We're gonna go. I'm not sure about a Tom Brady led team in the playoffs.
No,
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Reason. That's the only reason.
I don't think he's done it before.
Yeah, I don't know about him this time. He's getting a little older now. I think that
this is gonna happen. He's gonna make it to the Super Bowl, and then he's gonna face a young buck.
How long ago was it? How long ago was it when they got their ass kicked by the Chiefs?
Are we gonna get a rematch? Patriots Buccaneers.
It's extremely possible.
Young McCorkle taking the keys from Timothy Brady the 12th. Is this what we're gonna see? The coordination of young McCorkle? Could you imagine?
You can't rule it
how
out.
Annoying NFL media is gonna be that week if that happens, because oh my goodness,
that's SQ's currently favorite quarterback, McCorkle.
It is legitimately my favorite quarterback. I do love me some McCorkle Jones tape. Look, he's so good that he made his wide receivers look good on that little chart there. That he's like number 2 on that chart.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you see the? Oh, they haven't. Chat hasn't seen it. We should retweet it from our AFC North Twitter account. Ace had a really good chart today with like basically the help around you. How good is your special teams? How good is your offensive line? How good is your wide receivers like getting open? Right? How good is your defense? Kind of all of that around you to say like which quarterback has the best help around them.
And that Patriots Serrata Cast went from like 32 with Cam Newton to like 2 with Mac Jones, and I feel like this got something to do with Mac.
Well, no, one thing people forget about that team about the Patriots last year is that they had the most opt-outs in the league last year, the most COVID opt-outs of anybody. Yeah,
they got with Giannu Smith, Jacoby Myers is a draft pick.
Well, I mean, they just had all the defenders last year who just didn't play, right? Yeah, and then they added, obviously, this offseason, they just went all in on free agency. They got Hunter Henry, they got Jonnu Smith.
Aguilar.
Did they get
Aguilar?
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm saying, didn't they sign an offensive lineman? They signed an offensive lineman, I want to
say. They brought back Trent. Is it Trent Williams? No. The guy that they went to the Raiders.
Trent Edwards? No, not Trent Edwards.
You're thinking about Aguilar, right?
No. It's an offensive lineman.
It was a Patriots. He was the Patriots right tackle. They won the Super Bowl, and then he went to the Raiders, and they tried to make him a left tackle, but then they got Miller and put him in the right tackle. He was there for like 3 years.
I know you're talking about it. I can't think of his name.
I think it's Williams, his last name, but
that guy. I think it's that guy. Yeah, that guy.
Big dude.
Trent Brown. People are saying Trent.
Okay.
Trent Brown.
I got the
Trent Brown.
Yeah, we got it. We nailed it. We got there. We eventually
Thank you.
By the way, is that dude still in the league? The guy from we sound like great football analysts right now. Is that guy Trent Williams? Is he still in the league? By the way, he used to play for the Washington Football.
He was in San Francisco last year.
Yeah, he went to San Francisco. Is he still in?
He was.
He's still on San. He's still on San.
He's still a starter.
He said
I know he didn't go well last year.
I think he's still a left tackle. I was two things before. Well, one thing and then the super chat. Shout out to the person that just subscribed to us on Patreon. Thank you for that.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
The first one,
Uh,
OG.
Yeah, we got the first one. You know what? Just because you're the first one, here's a special shout out for Luke Dickerson. Thank you for that. And then Otto here for another super chat. What do y'all feel about Jamar? I mean, Jamar has been playing good. Right now, you think he looks like a top 5 pick, right? Which is always the scare when you pick in the top 5. You're like, did I overreach or whatever? And remember, we had the discussion between tackle or not. Jamar Chase has he made it seem like he was the right pick.
yeah, this is going to be the rare draft class. And again, it's still early. I mean, we haven't
It
even
helps
finished
Riff.
season 1, but he does seem like the rare wide receiver that's going to finish as the best receiver in this class, which has not happened I think we did it. It was like Amari Cooper was the last time it happened, right?
Yeah. But it also helps them that signing is very underrated. The Riff sign from
Yeah.
right tackle.
Yeah.
Because that solidified the O line. Without that, then the pick might have been a little bit more questionable. But anyway, guys, thank you everybody that's been here. Like I said, if you want, go check our Patreon. Very easy to find. AFC North Talk. We'll make sure we tweet that out. And then we'll be back next week reviewing this game. Remember, our shows are still gonna be the same. This Patreon is just for extra content. Thank you, everybody that has been here. Thank you for everybody that's going to watch the replay. Make sure you comment, like, and share our content. And then we'll see you next time.